In psychology, Abraham Maslow was famous for saying that Sigmund Freud had provided the sick half of psychology and that humanistic psychology was attempting to provide the healthy half. And I can't help but draw a parallel in a way that perhaps in the same way that it applies to psychology, understanding mental disorders and just pathologies is very important and has value. And we need to rigorously study what the constituents are of thriving and flourishing and well-being and happiness. And I'm kind of drawing that parallel to what you're suggesting has to happen in the medical field is a rigorous shift toward understanding what contributes to health and well-being beyond the absence of disease, but
Yes.
actually thriving.
We are still in the shiny new object phase of the transition, where spirituality has come on the scene in the last few decades, is really popular. Yoga is a Sanskrit word, which is English now. Meditation, mindfulness, Buddhist practices. I mean, it's popular, right? I think it's great that it's popular. And it's being adopted in medicine in the name of mind-body medicine, right? And what does that say? It basically says, hey, there's this aspect to us that we've kind of been ignoring. And so, let's meditate, let's be mindful, let's do all of these things. And lo and behold, people are feeling better, right? People are moving towards healing, right? Not necessarily cure of the conditions. I want to make a distinction between healing and cure, where healing can include cure, right? But they're not the same thing.
Right.
So through these practices, people are experiencing healing. They're experiencing power, right? Wow, like I have this ability to influence my experience. It's not just, going to the expert and letting them do everything or having the prescription do everything. But it's still in the shiny new object phase because it's not yet systemic, right? We haven't yet been rigorous with this. We're making progress. First, it was alternative medicine. Then we said, oh no, complementary. Then we said, oh no, actually integrative. And, we still haven't gotten rid of the adjective yet to just call it healing or just call it medicine, right? We're getting closer, but we're not there yet. And that big step to shift from shiny new object phase to the transformation phase, and this, I'm speaking to everybody. If you want to transform healthcare, how many times have we heard about transforming healthcare? It's usually about insurance or coverage or access, all of which are important. But actually, I read in the book about the informational problem as opposed to the operational problems of healthcare, which usually get all the headlines. But the informational problem and the key to moving into the transformation phase from the shiny new object phase is saying that, okay, what all of this is telling us is our model of the human being is radically incomplete. And therefore, taking those couple hard steps forward, therefore, we need a new model of human anatomy. And actually, Nick, if I can read you this.
Please.
Let me show you this, actually. I've changed my screen. I don't know if can you see this?
The Atlas of Human Anatomy.
Yeah, this is by Frank Netter, Dr. Frank Netter, who is a physician and illustrator. Amazing drawings of human anatomy, right? There's a liver and its detail. Over here is the kidney, pancreas. And so amazing drawings that medical students use, right? He drew this. Well, in the beginning of it, here's what he wrote. Anatomy, of course, does not change, but our understanding of anatomy and its clinical significance does change. This therefore required much updating of many of the older pictures and even revision of a number of them to make them more pertinent to today's ever-expanding scope of medical and surgical practice. In addition, I found, says Dr. Netter, I found that they were gaps in the portrayal of medical knowledge as pictorialized in the illustrations, and this necessitated making a number of new pictures that are included in this volume. What is this giant of anatomy saying? he's saying that anatomy is changing. He starts by saying anatomy does not change. And then everything he says after that is essentially saying that anatomy, or at least our vision of anatomy, changes. And that means he had to edit pictures. Did the human being change? No. But his vision changed, his understanding changed, the needs of the society, the needs of medical practice changed. And so the models of anatomy change. And that's where we are right now. To go from shiny new object to transformation, for all the people that are talking about transformation, please hear me. We need a new, more complete model of human anatomy, which does not exclude or leave out anything that we've done, but it adds on mind as anatomy, these energetic structures that have been found throughout the world, right? This is not one civilization that describes this. These are many civilizations. And these are all Homo sapiens, by the way. If we have many civilizations describing these models of anatomy, and we have another one, what does it say about how much we know that we cannot reconcile these, right? These have to be included. And then it's up to us to do the work to reconcile them, to have a deeper understanding of energy, of mind, of information, of consciousness, of physicality, of mentality, of fields, of waves. All that is there. And we collectively have the knowledge, right? We have experts that have different pieces of the knowledge, but we need to bring these people together to then describe how these layers of anatomy can be reconciled. And that is the linchpin of transformation in healthcare. And that's where integrative medicine has to go next. It's not enough to say we're practicing alongside medicine. We're talking about the same human being, and we need to integrate our knowledge to the point that it's no longer integrative.
Mm. One of the challenges I see and kind of foresee is the extension that we're adding here of the mind onto anatomy is just I feel like, again, here's me pointing out what I think is a fundamental difference between that and the physical body, which is that it's verifiable only from a first person perspective. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe we'll develop extensions of our senses through technology that end up detecting the subtle body anatomy of, yoga philosophy, or the meridians of Chinese medicine, or the chakras of yoga. Maybe we will actually detect them, and we will find that, no, actually, this is made of the same stuff. It was just so subtle. We couldn't detect it. We needed advanced technology. I think that's totally possible. But I do see that as like being the challenge is, how do we find agreement until there's some type of way we can verify it in a shared experience? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think we have to get there by first saying that, hey, this is an important part of our experience,
Yeah,
right? That the mind is a body, just as we might call the physical structure body. Later, we can kind of integrate and maybe even go beyond these divisions. That's maybe a step 3. But step 1 is to declare that these are as important,
Makes
And I
sense.
would say even the physical structure is only known through a first person perspective. I think the physical structure is entirely subjective. I don't see any difference between the physical body and the mental body, except that our attention has been trained to be locked into what we call the physicalized aspect of being. And it happens when we're children, right? Remember when our parents said, hey, Nick, this is your nose, this is your ear, this is your eye,
Head, shoulders, knees,
this is
and
your
toes.
shoulders, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? They didn't say identity. This is you in space. This is joy. This is joy.
Which is
Like
almost like an
this
organ as
is
much as your
anger.
stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
They could have. All adults can do that. But what happens is we tell children, this is who you are. Okay. Okay. Do you get it? This is who you are. And children say, okay, because otherwise you're disappointing the people you love. And then those children grow up to be adults and experts, and then believe that, the physical is objective. No, it's entirely subjective. just as mind is, right? There's no fundamental difference. What you are seeing as me is because your attention has been trained to see some aspect of me. My attention has been trained to see some aspect of you. It doesn't mean that only what I am seeing of you is what you are. It doesn't mean that somebody from another culture would not see Nick differently than Anoop sees him, because the training of their faculties have been different, right? So I think we lapse into this idea of the body being objective and physical and the mind being subjective and mental. But I don't think there is such a fundamental distinction. It is simply a matter of our training. Just like if I use a telescope and try to see you, I won't see you. I won't see your body. I'll say, where's Nick? I'm looking through the telescope. Okay, Nick's not here. If I use a microscope to see you, I won't see you. It'll be too magnified. It'll be too close. I need just the right distance, just the right focus to see, Nick's physical structure has come into focus. And that is what is happening right now all around the world, including to all the experts who were never taught that their mind is a lens. And depending on how it's pulled and stretched, different dimensions of mind, space, time come into focus.